Welcome to another episode of Same Page. My name is Sarah Simajist, and I'm with my husband,
Lenard Simajist.
Today we're talking about finances in your relationship. We're really going to dive deep into certain things that we have done that has worked for us, and also the importance of really having financial goals that are common amongst you two, so that it's easier to achieve your goals.
And before that you can achieve these goals, you need to be comfortable talking about it. And so one thing that we did very early on in our relationship is just have full disclosure of both of our financial situation.
We sat down and we looked at what is your paycheck, what is my paycheck, do you have any debts, what do those debts look like, are we going to tackle those debts, and how are we going to tackle those debts. Made a full budget about that. And there is no sense of being ashamed of where you are in terms of your finances if it's not in the position that you'd like to be, because once you disclose that with your partner, then you can start working towards a better financial future for you two. So
it's very important. One thing that Sarah just mentioned, as far as not being embarrassed about your financial situation, because a lot of people are ashamed for certain either bad investments they took in the past. I know I've taken a bad investment in the past, or just the accumulation of certain bad decisions. But at the same time, like, this is your life partner that you're talking with, so you should be comfortable enough to be vulnerable and to fully express yourself. And when you fully express yourself, that also includes the financial portion of it.
Absolutely. And even if you're not embarrassed about your financial situation, in a couple, the person who either is making more money or is in a better financial position than the other might not necessarily belittle the partner. So they might not want to talk about it just to kind of make them feel that they're less than. But that's not the point. And I think the way you express that to your partner can be very well received if you find the right words and if you have the right attitude behind it.
Exactly. And then, as much as we came in with two separate histories and however many accounts that we have together, at the end of the day, it's all your money. Like, I know for a lot of people it's kind of tough to wrap their minds around that, but even if you guys keep your accounts separate, at the end of the day, it's all your money.
Right. I mean, the way I feel about it, even before we kind of came together and had joint accounts, if Lenard was spending, X amount of money on something that I didn't necessarily agree on, that was just less money that we had to spend on something else together. So as far as I was concerned, even if it wasn't my money specifically, but somehow down the line I would have to make up for that. Exactly. So it was much easier to come together and to talk about our goals, our finances, where we were at, and where we wanted to be. So we'll give a couple of examples of some of the things that we've done in the past that didn't necessarily work because we weren't working together as a couple.
Now, for me, the first example that I'm going to give is I wanted to pay down the mortgage of the house that we currently live in. Now,
like prematurely,
to basically provide prepayments that'll go towards the balance of the mortgage. So when I communicated with Sarah that I wanted to pay down the mortgage, it wasn't not necessarily well received. I think I could have done a better job explaining the benefits and all the money that we were gonna save, but the fact that it wasn't well received, then we weren't clearly on the same page, and we weren't in line to pay the mortgage down. But after educating myself and being able to stumble upon a couple of YouTube videos that, at least for me, explained it very well, mostly the benefits of it, I was able to share that with Sarah. That was a good catalyst for her to realize, okay, you know what? Yeah, you're right. This is a good idea, and let's focus on doing that so we can free up some money in the future.
Yes. that's a great example. At the beginning, I wasn't on board, and later on, I understood a little bit more. But that was like years after, a couple, maybe 3 years after.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, early on, I had an idea that I wanted to rent an apartment and sublet it as an Airbnb, so that we could, the difference between the rent and the money that I made off the Airbnb would sort of be a cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I approached Lenard with this idea early on. I honestly, I don't remember really sitting down and discussing the steps with him and all of that, but I just went ahead and did it. I mean, Lenard was there to help me with the furniture and move, because I did need that help, like physically. But when it came to managing it on top of my 9-to-5 job, it was very difficult, because I would try to involve Lenard, ask him to manage just a few things when I was not available, and he would do it, but it's just the way it was received and the attitude that I got from him. I saw that clearly it wasn't something that he was on board with. I always felt I was a little bit scared to ask him. We were fighting a lot because of it. And anyway, but it just goes to show that even if the idea itself was making money, but because we weren't on the same page, I wasn't able to continue, because it put so much stress on a relationship that I felt that I had to put that aside in order to work on a relationship, because it's felt like it was going, the decision was, okay, do I continue this Airbnb and lose Lenard, or do I lose the Airbnb and we're back to being good, and obviously we're still together, so I just got rid of that. At that point, I really realized that I moved forward with an idea that we were not both okay with. We did not want to pursue that idea together, so I just basically did it on my own, right? But a couple of years down the line, I brought back the idea. Maybe I explained a little bit differently, and he was on board.
Yes.
And when he was on board, it made it so much easier. We would take turns with the management and the chores, and that rolled perfectly, to the point that we did it for a few months, and we stopped because of COVID. But yeah,
that was great. A couple of things that Sarah mentioned there that I want to touch up on is that so Sarah basically already made up her mind before my implication or my input to go ahead and do this Airbnb, and I fully support Sarah. But at the same time, for me, in my head, I'm like, well, if you already made up your mind, then you're taking the brunt of this work. So I guess for me, I never verbalized that to you, but that was kind of like the underlying, the underlying theme as to why naturally my body language was always negative when it came to managing this property. And just to emphasize, your nonverbals, gentlemen, are very, very important. Even though I was saying the right things, but my body and some of the smart remarks, my body language was saying a completely different story, and which definitely caused us to bicker and fight quite a bit during that time. So this brings up to our next topic, and we're going to talk about really dialing in on your expenses to see if those could be reduced. And one strategy that we started to look at is to live off of one income.
Yes, and it sort of fell on our lap, if I could say that way. It wasn't purposely that we decided that we were going to live on one income, but we were in a situation that I was going to pull away from work for a while, and Len was going to be bearing all the expenses in the house. And we looked at both of our expenses, and we're like, wait a minute, he could still carry all these, and then, while I'm not working. So it was great. I was able to do what I had to do for that for those few months. But then when I went back to work, we thought that, wait, if we can live on one paycheck for now, for that period of time, why can't we continue to do this even while I'm getting the paycheck and save that, that paycheck? So that conversation really forced us to really dive into a budget and really follow the budget by the letter, because now we were living in a tighter situation, and that really helped us. Until this day, we don't feel tight because we got really used to those spending habits, and it works for us. We're still, and now that COVID happened, most of you know that I quit my job, and we're back to one paycheck. And it still works. We're not in a financial situation that we're struggling, and we have food in our fridge. We can pay our bills. Thank God for that.
Absolutely.
We definitely feel blessed to be able to do that. But I feel that we're in this position because we really sat down and took steps towards building a budget and sticking to it a few months ago. So I think having a budget and really following that is going to do wonders for your financial future.
Exactly. And then also it gives your money direction. It gives it a destination. And so like, since I was taking care of most of the bills, then whatever Sarah was making, she was able to put these lump sums to really tackle whether it was debt or a project that we wanted to do. But it was so nice to have that money designated for specific items that we had agreed upon.
Right. So that's what we have to say about finances. Definitely sit down together.
From the beginning of the relationship.
From the beginning. Yeah. And even if you're 10 years in and you haven't done that, just do it today.
Break the ice.
We go on these, we schedule some time once a month or once every couple of weeks, and we sit down together. It's sort of like a financial date. And we have dinner, and then we look at our finances. It takes like literally 20 minutes now, because we're so used to it. It's like, okay, are we on track? Good. Okay, done. So it doesn't take a lot of time. It saves a lot of headache later on, and it just helps to achieve those goals. Because if you have a wish that you want to be wealthy, you want to own a house sometime, or do you want to buy another property, or you want to have certain car, whatever your goal is, if you don't make a plan for it, it's just going to be a wish.
Exactly. And then also this really keeps you connected. It keeps you on the same path. And then also, like, as you evolve, maybe obviously, like, we've had certain circumstances where our paths kind of shifted a little bit. So, but having those constant conversations, then we're able to adjust our budgets and adjust those as far as those destinations as to where the money was going to go accordingly. But that's because we stayed connected and we're having those regular conversations.
Absolutely.
So with that said, thank you again for watching, and so please subscribe, and until next time.
Yeah, don't forget to follow us, and we'll see you next time.